Evelyn's 9-year-old daughter had been counting down the days, her tiny hands clutching the art performance flyer like it was something sacred. She wanted nothing more than to see her mother in the audience, just once. But Evelyn barely looked up from her phone. "It's just a silly performance, isn't it? Simon has something urgent. I'll be back when I'm done," she said, brushing her daughter's hand away as if it were an inconvenience. The little girl's eyes filled before she could hide it, and as those silent tears slid down her cheeks, something inside me twisted. 10 years of marriage, and I'd lost count of how many times Evelyn had run to another man's house. A man she called her foster brother. She always had an excuse. Simon just came back from abroad. Simon has no one here. Simon's raising his daughter alone. And somehow, those reasons were enough for her to become a mother to someone else's child, while ours waited, again and again, for a love that never came. That night, when she walked out the door once more without looking back, I knew this wasn't a phase. It was who she'd become. Before leaving, she tossed out a single line over her shoulder. "Take good care of Lily. I'll be back after I help Simon." But I knew better. Once Evelyn left, she wouldn't come home, not for a night, sometimes not for days. Our daughter, Lily, tugged at her skate, her voice barely above a whisper. "Mom, will you really come back tonight?" Evelyn didn't even turn around. "Of course, sweetheart," Mommy promised. But that promise, like every other one, was just words in the air. She'd missed every milestone, every birthday, every performance, every moment that should have mattered. When we first married, Evelyn was gentle, even loving. Our families had arranged it, but for a while, we made it real. Then Simon moved in, and everything changed. She started coming home late, saying she was helping him with urgent things. Even when she got pregnant, her excitement wasn't for our future. It was somewhere else, somewhere I couldn't reach. After Lily was born, I tried to make it work. I took the night shifts, the feedings, the crying, anything to let Evelyn rest. But she left anyway, leaving a newborn behind to take care of her foster brother. For years I played both father and mother, juggling work, bottles, and bedtime stories, all while she played caretaker to someone else's family. And tonight was no different. Even for her own daughter's once-a-year performance, Evelyn couldn't bother to show up. When I saw Lily sitting there in her little costume, eyes red but still hopeful, I broke. My hands trembled as I called Evelyn one last time. "Evelyn, Lily's performance is about to start. She's been waiting all day for you. Can you come?" Her voice on the other end was sharp, impatient, and behind her I could hear laughter. Simon's laughter. His daughter's, too. "Benjamin, how many times do I have to tell you? Simon needs me more. You're an adult. Can't you understand priorities? It's just a school show. Have the nanny record it." Then, a click. Silence. I sat there for a moment, staring at my phone, feeling something in me finally die. After the show, while scrolling absent-mindedly online, I saw it, Simon's latest post. A photo. Evelyn, standing behind Simon and his little girl. All smiles. A perfect, happy family. And in the girl's hands, the limited edition princess doll Evelyn had promised Lily as a reward for her performance. Yesterday, Lily had whispered to me, "Daddy, Mommy said she'll give me that doll if I do well tomorrow." Now she saw it on someone else's feed, someone else's child holding what was meant for her. Her small voice broke as tears finally spilled over. "Daddy, doesn't Mommy love me?" And I had no answer, only the sound of her crying in my arms, echoing through a house that no longer felt like home. Watching my daughter cry that night felt like being cut open with a blunt knife, slow, messy, and unbearably human. I reached out, wiped her tears, and whispered, "Lily, let's not have this Mommy anymore, okay?" For a moment, she just stared at me, those big, trembling eyes searching mine. Then she nodded, hard, and buried herself in my arms. "She always lies to Daddy," she said, voice breaking between sobs. "She makes Daddy sad. I don't want a Mommy like that anymore." I held her tighter, feeling her tiny heartbeat thudding against my chest. That was a moment I knew, really knew, my marriage with Evelyn was over. 10 years. That's how long I'd been keeping this hollow marriage alive. A decade spent maintaining an illusion that had long stopped feeling like home. To the world, I was the perfect husband, the dutiful son-in-law of the Lin family, the man who held everything together. I ran my company, helped theirs, played the role of the bridge between two powerful families. In public, we smiled, hands linked for the cameras. Behind closed doors, I carried the weight of it all alone. I took care of every detail, the house, the staff, the meals. Evelyn was particular about everything, her clothes, her food, even the way flowers were arranged on the dining table. And I made sure it was all perfect. Even her appearances, her hair, her dresses, her press looks, I coordinated through stylists and assistants. She had no idea how much of her effortless grace was just my invisible labor. At work, I oversaw every joint project with the Lin Group, ensuring nothing went wrong between our families. And at home, when the day ended, I switched roles from businessman to father. I taught Lily to walk, to read, to be brave when the world wasn't kind. I sat in every school chair reserved for parents, alone, clapping louder than anyone so she'd never feel the silence beside her. Evelyn, meanwhile, was always somewhere else. With Simon, her excuse was the same every time. He's a single father. He needs help. You wouldn't understand. But I did understand. I understood that I was the one living like a single father, not Simon. I had a wife in name, but in every way that mattered, I didn't. Even Lily eventually stopped asking the question that used to crush me every night. Daddy, when will Mommy come home? Last night, when I saw Simon's latest social post, Evelyn smiling beside him and his daughter, something inside me finally snapped. Years of quiet endurance turned into a sharp, calm kind of anger. The kind that doesn't shout, it just decides. The next morning, I took Lily to school, kissed her forehead, and drove straight to the office. I went through the motions, meetings, reports, discussions, but my mind was somewhere else. I had made my decision. This time, I wouldn't let Evelyn's promises soften me. Halfway through a project briefing, the door burst open. Evelyn walked in, elegant, irritated, and already on the offensive. Benjamin, she said sharply, what's the meaning of this? My assistant told me you're filing for divorce? I gestured for my team to step outside. The door shut behind them, and suddenly, it was just us, the echo of 10 silent years between us. I just wanted to talk, I said evenly. Talk. She frowned. Isn't this just another fight because of Lily's little performance last night? The way she said it, Lily's little performance, something so small, so dismissive, made my stomach turn. You really think this is about a performance? I asked quietly, stubbing out my cigarette. Evelyn, do you actually believe I don't know what you've been doing all these years? Her expression faltered, just for a heartbeat, before she mastered again with that cold calm she'd perfected. What nonsense are you talking about? She said lightly. All I've done is help Simon watch his daughter sometimes. Do you have to make such a big deal out of that? If I hadn't seen that post last night, maybe I would have believed her, again. Maybe I would have convinced myself she was just being kind. But not anymore. Simon's child is his responsibility, I said, my voice steady. If he's sick, there are hospitals. If he needs help, he has nannies. He has his own family. So tell me, Evelyn, why is it always you? Why does he always call you? Her face froze for a split second before she forced a soft smile. All right, stop being so dramatic, she said. I know you're upset I've been busy. I'll make it up to you, okay? Next month's our anniversary. I'll book your favorite restaurant. We'll go together, you and Lily. I'll pay more attention. Another promise. Another lie wrapped in sweet words. I just looked at her, silent, until her voice started to waver. Then I said, quietly but firmly, Evelyn, I've been hearing your promises for 10 years. They are all bullshit. I picked up my phone, and this time, I made the call that would finally end it. Notify HR and legal. I said quietly, my voice flat but final. Start a full financial and personnel investigation on all Lin Group subsidiaries immediately. Evelyn froze, her face draining of color. What are you doing? Her voice cracked, rising with panic. For the first time in years, I felt nothing. No anger, no pain, just clarity. Since this is ending, I said, eyes on her. Everything should be made clear. The money, the favors, the things your family's taken from me over the years. It's time to settle the accounts. Evelyn's composure broke. Benjamin, don't be crazy, she screamed. I won't agree to a divorce. You will destroy the Lynn family with this. I leaned back in my chair, meeting her panic with calm indifference. That's your family's problem, I said. Now please leave. I don't have time to waste. She opened her mouth as if to argue, but I was done listening. I picked up a file, eyes dropping to the page, treating her silence like background noise. Furious, she spun on her heel and slammed the door behind her. The sound echoed through the office, then faded into nothing. I rubbed my temples and called out to my assistant. Keep an eye on Evelyn and Simon, I said quietly. Evelyn's obsession with Simon had always been more than a sisterly bond. It was something deeper, darker, and wrong. The way she doted on his child. It wasn't just kindness. It was devotion that didn't make sense. Her excuses, here's my foster brother, he needs my help, had never added up. They were cracks I tried to ignore for years, but each one lodged itself in my heart like glass shards, cutting deeper every time she broke another promise. I'd suspected something for a long time. But Lily was still little back then, innocent, unguarded, and I couldn't bring myself to tear her world apart. I thought I was protecting her by holding the family together, but all I really did was teach her to expect disappointment. Every time Evelyn walked out, Lily waited by the door, hoping her mom would come home this time. And every time she didn't, I watched my daughter's hope shrink a little more. The final blow wasn't even the absence, it was that photo. Evelyn, smiling with Simon and his daughter, handing that little girl the exact doll she promised our own child. That's when I realized keeping Lily inside this illusion was the cruelest thing I could do. A home built on lies isn't a family. It's a cage, and I was done living in it. I took a long breath, steadying the storm inside me, and opened the encrypted file my assistant had sent. Evelyn's arrangement for Simon's return to the country were meticulous, almost too careful. There were financial transfers, unlisted meetings, even fake invoices. And Simon's background? Holes everywhere. His so-called ex-wife didn't seem to exist at all. As I sat there piecing together the lies, my phone lit up. Mom. I closed my eyes for a moment before answering. Hey, Mom. Her voice was warm, familiar, a sound that had always felt like home. Son, I watched Lily's performance video last night, she said softly. She was wonderful. You've done so well, taking care of her all by yourself. Her words hit something tender in me. For the first time all day, my chest loosened a little. Mom, I said quietly, there's something I need to tell you. I hesitated for just a second, then said it. I decided to divorce Evelyn. There was a pause, the kind of silence that carries years of understanding. Then her voice returned, steady but gentle. Have you thought it through? You've held on for so long. Son, what about the Lynn family? What did they say? Evelyn doesn't agree, I replied, and I haven't confronted the Lynns yet. But I've started digging. I need the truth and leverage. As for Lily, I took a breath. She deserves a real home, not one built on pity or pretenses. My mother didn't hesitate. If you've made up your mind, then good. Don't be afraid. Whatever happens, your father and I are right here. You're not alone. Her strength filled the cracks I hadn't realized were still open. I smiled, the first real one in days. Thanks, Mom. With you and Dad around, I've got nothing to fear. When I hung up, I felt lighter. For the first time in 10 years, I could breathe without guilt. But I knew what was coming next. The Lynn family wouldn't go down quietly. Sure enough, just as I was reviewing Simon's file again, my phone rang. Mrs. Lynn, Evelyn's mother, a woman who'd always seen me as nothing more than a tool, useful for business, inconvenient for everything else. I answered with a flat tone. Hello. Her voice came through sharp and scolding. Benjamin, what's this nonsense I'm hearing? Evelyn tells me you're asking for a divorce. Why are you creating drama instead of focusing on your life? All because she missed that silly little school performance? Her words landed like cold rain, predictable, dismissive, blind. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to explain myself. She looked at me like I was the one losing my mind. "You're throwing a tantrum again," she sneered. "What's wrong with sitting down and talking things out between husband and wife? Why make a scene? Do you really think you're that important?" Her words dripped with venom, the kind that burned more than it stung. I let out a cold laugh. There was no point trying to explain anything. The Lin family had always been gifted at one thing, twisting the truth until it fit their version of the story. "This isn't a lover's quarrel, Mrs. Lin," I said, my voice steady. "It's a divorce. And as for whether I'm just throwing a tantrum, your family knows the truth better than anyone. You should be more aware than I am of what your daughter's been doing, shouldn't you?" That hit a nerve. Her tone cracked, turning sharp and hysterical. "Don't get cocky, Benjamin. Do you have any idea how much damage your divorce will cause the Lin family? Have you even thought about Lily? She's still a child. What will happen to her if you two split?" There it was, the familiar routine. Blame me, play the victim, protect the family name. I'd seen this performance too many times before. To them, I was never a husband. I was an asset, a resource, the son-in-law they could use but never truly respect. What the world saw was a glamorous, unshakable Lin family. But behind closed doors, the truth was uglier. Their empire was crumbling, propped up only by the influence and money that came from my company. Without me, they'd have gone under long ago, eaten alive by their own greed. And yet, even knowing about Evelyn and Simon, their little secret that wasn't so secret, her parents still defended them, still had the audacity to lecture me. Because in their eyes, as long as Lily existed, I was trapped. Their perfect plan. I'd keep my mouth shut, stay for my daughter's sake, and keep funding their precious image. So when I mentioned divorce, Mrs. Lin didn't panic. She smiled that same smug smile, certain I'd back down. "All right, Benjamin," she said sweetly. "I know you're upset. You're young, full of temper. That's understandable. Evelyn may have made a few mistakes, but I'll talk to her. Maybe you all just need a trip together. Clear the air, relax a little. Don't blow a small issue out of proportion." I almost laughed again, not out of humor, but disbelief. Then Mr. Lin's voice came on the line, warm and practiced, dripping with false concern. "Benjamin, you're a good man. You've done so much for our family. We all see that. But marriage is about understanding. Evelyn only cares for Simon because he's her brother. You should try to understand her, too. We're all family. Why make things so extreme?" Every word felt like poison. Excuses for Evelyn, justifications for Simon, and a lecture for me. It was pathetic. They weren't calling to mend anything. They were calling because they were scared of what losing me would cost them. I'd had enough. My voice went flat. My decision isn't up for debate. It's a notification. The divorce will happen. Silence. They hadn't expected defiance, not from me. From today onward, I continued, there will be no ties between me and the Lin family. Evelyn's betrayal destroyed this marriage, and the Lin family helped her do it. I'll raise Lily on my own. She's my daughter, and she'll have nothing to do with your family or its filth. My words landed like explosions, the kind that left nothing standing. Then came Mrs. Lin's shriek through the phone, her voice cracking with rage. "Benjamin, what do you mean by that? What infidelity? How dare you slander Evelyn? She treated you so well, you ungrateful man. All she ever did was care for her foster brother. You're selfish, cruel. Do you want to destroy our family?" Her word blurred into the same tired noise I'd heard for years. Denial, blame, manipulation. The irony burned. Evelyn and Simon were the ones who crossed the line, yet somehow I was always a villain. But not this time. Not anymore. That night, something inside me broke, or maybe it finally healed, because for the first time in years, I wasn't angry. I was done, and that was the difference. He was a few years younger than Evelyn, raised overseas, polished, charming in the effortless way people pick up when they grow up far from home. He'd just returned to the country, supposedly to reconnect with his family. But the moment he appeared, Evelyn's reaction was different, too bright, too eager. She said Simon didn't know how things worked here, that she was just helping him adjust, finding him an apartment, bringing him meals, checking on him every other day. On the surface, it sounded harmless, but I could feel it. Something about it wasn't right. Did a grown man really need that much help from a married sister? Still, I chose to believe her. I told myself it was just kindness, that once Simon settled down, she'd come back, to me, to us, to the small family we were building. But I was wrong. It happened not long after Lily was born. Evelyn was still recovering, and I was right there beside her, doing my best to care for her and our newborn daughter. Then Simon called. He sounded panicked, said he was in trouble. Before I could even ask what happened, Evelyn grabbed her coat and rushed out the door, leaving behind her husband and her baby. From that day on, I faced every milestone of Lily's life alone. Her first smile, her first steps, her first words. And Evelyn, she was always somewhere else, always by his side. When I confronted her parents, hoping for even a sliver of honesty, they didn't look surprised. If anything, it felt like they'd been expecting this conversation. They brushed it all off, covering for her, twisting the story until somehow I became the problem. "Don't be so narrow-minded, Benjamin," they'd say. "Simon and Evelyn just have a deep sibling bond." A bond, right, the kind that destroyed a marriage. That day, I finally snapped. "Enough," I said, cutting through Mrs. Lynn's shrill voice on the phone. "This divorce isn't up for discussion. I'm not asking for your permission. I'm informing you." Then I hung up. The weight of it all came crashing down on me at once. Exhaustion seeped into every cell of my body. I just wanted silence, a shower, a moment to breathe. But the universe had other plans. A frantic knocking shattered the quiet. "Benjamin, I know you're in there." The door rattled under desperate fists. Evelyn. Her parents must have called her the moment I hung up. Realizing what she stood to lose, she came running through the rain. I took a deep breath, pushing down the anger that burned in my chest. Let's see how far she takes this act, I thought as I opened the door. The storm spilled in behind her, cold rainwater splashing across the floor. She looked a mess, hair dripping, breath uneven, eyes red as she grabbed my arm. "Benjamin, are you serious? You really want a divorce?" She cried. "I've just been so busy lately. I didn't mean to ignore you or Lily. When Mom told me how upset you were, I came right back. I even bought the princess doll Lily wanted, and your anniversary gift too. They are both in the car." Her words tumbled out like lines rehearsed 100 times. It felt less like love and more like damage control. I stared at her, the woman who once meant everything to me, and all I felt was emptiness. "Evelyn," I said quietly, pulling my arm away, "do you really think any of this matters anymore?" She froze. My tone must have cut deeper than I intended. "No one knows better than you what's gone wrong between us," I continued. "With the way things are now, even Lily wouldn't believe another word you say." Her face went pale. "Benjamin, I know I failed you and Lily," she stammered. "But you can't just throw everything away. You promised. You said even if I made mistakes, you'd give me a chance to make things right. Please, just one more chance." The irony was almost painful. The woman who shattered every promise was now begging me to remember them. But I saw through her, through all of it. She wasn't here because of love or regret. She was here because her parents had told her to be. Because losing me meant losing everything that kept the Lynn family afloat. The tenderness I once loved in her eyes was gone. All that remained was fear. Fear of losing control, losing comfort, losing me. And when I didn't respond, she panicked. Her voice softened suddenly, trembling as she held up a phone to show me a picture of Lily. "Benjamin," she said, forcing a smile, "I know Lily's always wanted a big birthday party. It was my fault for not being there before." Her words hung in the air, but they didn't reach me anymore. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't love. It was survival, and I was finally done being the one she used to survive. "I'll make it up to her this time," she said quickly, her words spilling out like lines from a script she'd practiced in the mirror. "You can invite whoever you want. I'll leave everything up to you. All right? I know I've neglected you both before, but from now on, I'll listen to you in everything. I'll stay out of company matters and focus on the family. You and Lily will always come first." I listened in silence. The more she spoke, the deeper the emptiness inside me grew. I'd heard all this before, the same empty promises dressed in new words. 10 years, and nothing had changed. Evelyn. I cut her off, my voice low and sharp. Don't take me for a fool. Her lips trembled slightly, but I didn't stop. If you really want to make amends, why haven't you mentioned your dear foster brother? Her eyes flickered, a tiny crack in her calm mask. I leaned forward. How exactly do you plan to handle your relationship with Simon? And his child? Can you even cut ties with him completely? Evelyn's gaze darted away. Her tone turned soft, too careful. He's just my foster brother. Before she could finish, the doorbell rang. She froze. A second later, her phone lit up, Simon calling. I caught the name on the screen, and the last bit of patience in me vanished. Evelyn fumbled to end the call, her fingers trembling. The phone rang again almost immediately. I couldn't help but laugh, a bitter, hollow sound. So this is how you make things right. I said quietly, you even told him where I live. Moments later, the front door opened to the sound of pounding rain. Simon stood outside, drenched and pale, his face a picture of concern, though the faint smugness in his eyes didn't escape me. When he spotted me, that smugness vanished behind a mask of pitiful worry. Evelyn, he called out, voice shaking, the baby's burning up with fever. She won't stop crying for you. I didn't know what else to do. Evelyn's face softened instantly. Don't worry, she said, stepping toward him. I'll go check on her right away. Behind her, Simon glanced at me, and there it was again. That smirk, that silent challenge. Then, pretending to notice me, he added, I didn't want to disturb you too, but the baby's throat is hoarse from crying. She keeps calling for her mommy. He lingered on the word mommy, his eyes glinting with something sharp and deliberate. Evelyn didn't notice. She never did. Instead, she turned to me, guilt clouding her voice. Benjamin, Simon's soaked from the rain, she said softly. Could you get him a towel? Or a coat? For a moment, I almost laughed, not out of humor, but disbelief. In my house, she was asking me to take care of him. The realization hit her a second later when she caught the cold mockery in my eyes. But before she could speak, Simon grabbed her wrist again, his act of helplessness ramping up another notch. Evelyn, the baby's fever's getting worse, he pleaded. I'm scared she won't make it through the night. That was all it took. Evelyn panicked. All right, she said, flustered. I'll go with you now. You've been out in the rain too long anyway. Why don't you stay here tonight? Then she turned to me, completely oblivious to how absurd it all sounded. Benjamin, let him rest here. I'll explain everything tomorrow. For a heartbeat, the room was silent. Then I laughed. Quietly, bitterly, my hands clenched at my sides. She actually expected me, the husband she betrayed, to let her lover stay under my roof. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I simply picked up my phone and called security. Minutes later, the guards arrived. Evelyn jumped in alarm, immediately moving in front of Simon like a shield. Benjamin, what are you doing? She demanded. He's soaked to the bone. Can't you let him stay just one night? How can you be so heartless? Heartless. That word again. I gave a cold, humorless smile and pointed toward the door. Escort them both out. Evelyn's face went white, her expression twisting in disbelief. Simon's eyes darkened, a glimmer of hatred flickering beneath his fake concern. And just like that, they were gone. Silence fell over the house, heavy, suffocating, final. The rain outside had stopped, but the storm inside me hadn't. I stood in the doorway for a long time, rubbing my temples, feeling the weight of years of betrayal pressing down on me. By morning, I buried myself back into wake, pretending everything was normal. I went through meetings, signed papers, gave orders. But just as I was about to head out for lunch, a sudden stir erupted outside my office. Voices, movement, tension. Then she appeared. Evelyn, standing at the doorway again, this time holding a beautifully wrapped gift box. My secretary followed behind her, looking helpless. President, I'm sorry, Mrs. Lynn insisted. We couldn't stop her. I sighed, waving the secretary away. Evelyn stepped forward, her heels clicking softly against the floor, holding out a perfectly wrapped gift box like it was a ticket to forgiveness. Benjamin, she began, Her voice sugar-sweet. I just came to talk about Lily's birthday party. I thought we should discuss it face-to-face. She mentioned Lily, but her tone, her eyes, were fixed on that box, not on our daughter. This is what I owed Lily before, she added, forcing a smile. And it's also your anniversary gift. Please, don't be angry anymore, okay? Her voice was soft, too soft. The kind that could fool anyone who didn't already know what kind of woman she really was. Hard to believe this was the same Evelyn who'd been crying outside my door last night. Evelyn rarely came to my company. The Lynn family heiress didn't lower herself like this unless she was desperate. This wasn't guilt. It was strategy, a last-ditch performance to stop the divorce. I didn't even look at the gift. Evelyn, I said flatly, this act is pointless. Her smile faltered, the mask cracking just slightly. Benjamin, why are you being so heartless? I'm just trying to make it up to you and Lily. Is that so wrong? You're still angry about Simon, aren't you? She pressed on, her voice trembling like a child caught in a lie. I've told you 100 times, he's just my foster brother. I've only been helping him because he came back from abroad with no one to rely on. I leaned back, watching her with the kind of calm that comes after too many disappointments. Evelyn, I said quietly, I don't care what you call your relationship. Do whatever you want. Just don't come here and disgust me with your lies. My eyes flicked toward the box still clutched in her hands. If you've got that much free time to put on a show, use it to figure out how much of the Lynn family's empire will still belong to you when the divorce goes through. Her face went pale. I was done wasting breath. I sent a quick message to my secretary, call security. Then I turned to the window, ignoring her completely. Behind me, her voice cracked with desperation. Benjamin, wait, please, just listen to me. Before she could finish, the door burst open. The air shifted instantly. It was Simon. Evelyn gasped. Simon, what are you doing here? He didn't even look at her, just glared straight at me, his face pale but burning with fury. Benjamin, what the hell do you want? You have no right to control Evelyn. Simon, stop. Evelyn grabbed his arm, panic in her voice. But he shrugged her off, eyes locked on me like he wanted to tear me apart. You think you've won? Oh, he spat. If it weren't for me, the Lynn family wouldn't have even looked twice at you. Simon. Evelyn's voice broke, almost in tears. Stop this. Please. He twisted toward her, voice rising. Stop? You're abandoning me for him now? What about your promise? You said, the first face I'd see when I woke up would always be yours. His words sent a chill down my spine. His tone wasn't love, it was obsession. Sick, twisted dependence dressed as devotion. I let out a cold laugh. How old are you, Simon? Still clinging to your sister like a lost child? You're a grown man. Try acting like one. My words hit him hard. He stumbled back, eyes burning with hatred. Don't push your luck, Benjamin, he hissed. If you hadn't meddled with Evelyn, the Lynn family wouldn't be falling apart. Are you proud now, you snake? Simon, enough. Evelyn shouted, but her voice was drowned out by the sudden vibration in my pocket. My phone. A message. The DNA test report. As I opened it, time seemed to stop. My hands went still. My chest tightened. The words on that screen tore through me like glass. The child everyone believed was Simon's was Evelyn's biological daughter, and Simon was a biological father. It all made sense now. Evelyn's constant excuses, her obsession with Simon, the way she'd always pushed Lily aside, cold and distant. All her love, all her care, every ounce of it, had gone to their child. The Lynn family knew, every last one of them, and they had played me like a fool. They had even helped her hide it. The whole truth was filthier than I could have ever imagined. A wave of rage surged through me, hot and suffocating, but I forced it down. When I finally lifted my head, the fire in my chest had frozen into something colder, sharper. I stared at the two of them, still standing there, still pretending, and said quietly, Evelyn, you make me sick. My words sliced through their shouting like glass. They both froze, color draining from their faces. I raised my phone, letting the screens glow full across the room. No wonder Simon's child always called for you, I said, voice low and steady. Turns out you're not her aunt after all, you're her mother. The room went dead silent. The color bled from Evelyn's face until she looked almost gray. Her lips trembled. Benjamin, please, listen to me. It's not what you think. I tore my arm free, my voice hollow of any emotion. I don't want to hear another damn word. Then I hit them with the final blow. That child is yours and Simon's. I have proof, every filthy, disgusting detail. If you don't want the Lynn family name to crumble by tomorrow morning, you'll sign the papers quietly. I tossed the divorce agreement and Lily's custody papers onto the desk. The sound echoed through the office like a gavel. Evelyn's body shook, her eyes wide with disbelief. But I felt nothing. No pity, no sadness. Only the cold satisfaction of the truth finally out in the open. I turned to leave. But Evelyn lunged forward, grabbing my arm with desperate strength. Benjamin, you can't leave me. I won't divorce you. You're mine. You'll always be mine. Before I could speak, Simon let out a harsh, broken laugh. It was a laugh of a man who'd already lost everything. Wake up, Evelyn, he shouted, voice cracking. Benjamin never loved you. He only ever wanted your family's money, your power. I'm the only one who truly loves you. He pointed at me, shaking with rage. Even if you want a divorce, Benjamin, you won't dare make this public. You're too afraid to destroy the Lynn family. You're too scared to let go of what they built for you. I stared at him, unblinking. The two of them, liar and fool, were perfect for each other. When Evelyn clung tight and Simon's voice turned to madness, I'd had enough. I pulled out my phone and made one call. Moments later, the door burst open. Several security guards rushed in, taking in the chaos without needing an explanation. They pried Evelyn's hands off me, forcing the two of them apart. My voice came out calm, cold, final. Get them out of here. And from now on, no one from the Lynn family, not even Simon, is allowed in this building again without my permission. That was it. I was done with them. All of them. That same day, I handed every piece of evidence and the signed divorce documents to my legal team. The Lynn family had no room left to fight. In the end, they caved. The terms were exactly as I wanted. Lily's custody came to me, and for the first time in years, I felt free, like I'd finally taken back control of my life. When I held the divorce certificate in my hands, it was as if a boulder had been lifted off my chest. The air felt lighter, the world quieter. With that chapter finally closed, I buried myself in work. I stopped counting the hours, skipped meals, lost sleep. The only moments I allowed myself to slow down were when I saw Lily or had dinner with my parents. Under their care, and mine, Lily began to smile again. Her laughter filled the house like sunlight breaking through years of storm clouds. But even iron rusts over time. The endless pressure, the long nights, they started to wear me down. One evening, after another round of late meetings, I drove home as usual. Halfway there, a sudden headache hit. Sharp, blinding. I pulled over, clutching my temples, beads of cold sweat sliding down my face. I tried to call my driver, my vision swimming. But before I could finish dialing, the world went black. When I woke up, I was lying on a hospital bed. The pain had dulled, but it was still there, a faint, pulsing ache behind my eyes. I reached for the call button, still trying to piece together what happened, when the door opened. Standing there, framed by the light from the hallway, was a face from another lifetime, my old college classmate, Melissa. She stood there, holding a small insulated lunchbox, and the moment she saw me awake, a wave of relief softened her features. Her smile, it was warm, like sunlight breaking through a cold winter morning. Benjamin, finally, you scared me half to death, she said, setting the lunchbox gently on the bedside table, a soft chuckle escaping her lips. It's been so long, she continued, her voice calm but tinged with nervousness. I didn't expect our reunion to happen like this. I blinked, surprised. Melissa, the last person I ever imagined I'd see in a hospital room. The last I'd heard, she'd gone abroad after graduation to continue her studies. Opening the lunchbox, she revealed a steaming bowl of millet porridge, a few light side dishes carefully arranged. "I recently decided to move back home," she explained, pouring the porridge into a bowl. "Yesterday, I was heading to a meeting when I saw you collapse by the roadside. You scared me so much." She gave me that half-reproachful look I remembered from our college days. "Still overworking yourself, huh? That old stomach problem of yours hasn't gone away, has it?" Even after all these years, she remembered. Those minor stomach troubles from late nights and endless coffee, small things I thought no one else could recall. A warmth stirred in my chest, under my parents' gentle persuasion, and Hayes, I finally let myself stay in the hospital for a few days. Each day, Melissa visited, bringing soft, freshly prepared meals, chatting as if no time had passed at all. Her presence lifted the heaviness that had been clinging to me for years, like sunlight finally piercing a dark cloud. When I was finally discharged, she insisted on driving me home. "To celebrate your miraculous recovery, we're going out for a good meal," she said with a grin, lightly taking my arm and guiding me toward the elevator. In that moment, a thought hit me, truly hit me, for the first time in years. I was single again. Evelyn no longer held any grip over my life. We went to a new fine dining restaurant downtown, the kind of place where every detail felt deliberate, peaceful, elegant, until a sharp, venomous voice cut through the calm. "Benjamin, what the hell? Did you rush to divorce me just for her?" I turned. Evelyn, thinner now, her carefully polished facade replaced by fatigue and spite. Her face twisted in anger and jealousy as she stormed toward us. I opened my mouth, ready to speak, but Melissa stepped forward first, her presence calm but cutting, a blade hidden in politeness. "Excuse me, miss." "Please mind your words," Melissa said firmly. "Mr. Benjamin is single. He has every right to decide who he spends his time with. Unless, of course, you have something on your conscience, something that might explain why he chose to end your marriage." Guilt flickered across Evelyn's face, but she quickly masked it with fury. "I did nothing wrong. It was him. He left me for someone better." Melissa's smile never wavered, but her tone cooled, sharp as winter frost. "Oh, really? Then perhaps you'd care to explain. Have you ever truly been a wife? Have you truly cared for your daughter, Lily, the way a mother should? Or were you too busy caring for things that were never your responsibility?" Her words landed like hammers, each syllable a blow. Even without naming Simon or the other child, Evelyn's face drained of color, her composure crumbling. She lunged forward, screaming, "You filthy homewrecker! I'll tear your mouth apart." But the restaurant security staff had already intervened, pulling her back. I no longer paid attention to her hysteria. After the chaos, Melissa and I left the restaurant. On the ride home, she didn't ask questions, didn't probe. Her presence was like a fresh spring washing away the grime the Lynn family had left on my heart. From that day on, Melissa became my neighbor. She bought the house right next to my villa. We shared meals, laughter, and stories every day. The ease, the warmth she brought into my life, it was something Evelyn never could. Time moved fast. 3 years passed in a blink. My company flourished, expanding into new markets, solidifying a presence internationally. Meanwhile, the Lynn family's businesses, the very ones that tried to profit off me, crumbled. Valuations fell, projects were absorbed by my companies, leaving them exposed and weakened. And through it all, Melissa and I grew closer. Mutual admiration turned into true partnership, and eventually, with the blessings of our families and friends, we held a simple, heartfelt wedding. Lily, radiant and full of life, handed us our rings. My eyes stung with tears as I realized I had finally escaped Evelyn's shadow. I had fought for a life worth living, for Lily and for myself. Happiness settled over us. Not long after, Melissa became pregnant. I delegated work, spent more time with my family, and no longer avoided mentioning Evelyn or Simon. They had vanished from my world entirely. Updates came only through my parents. The Lynn family, stripped of funding and influence, had lost their grand facade. Evelyn and Simon ended up together, but their life was a shadow of the lavish image they once flaunted. I heard whispers of their arguments, money, blame, regret, and my name, when mentioned, was never with longing, only with resentment. "Mom, it's all in the past. Don't bring them up. I said with a small smile, cutting off my mother. They had no one to blame but themselves. My father appeared from the kitchen, carrying a steaming dish of vinegar-braised fish. "Dinner's ready," he said. Lily, ever sensible and sweet, pulled out a chair for me. "Daddy, sit here." Then she placed a soft cushion for Melissa. "Mommy, sit here. It's more comfortable." Looking at my loving wife, my bright, beautiful daughter, and my kind parents gathered around me, a deep sense of fulfillment surged through my chest. After years of darkness, oppression, and betrayal, I had finally claimed the happiness that was truly mine.